Okay, I have gotten quite a few requests for when you open up Hatsune Miku's rig, the texture file is not immediately connecting, so you're going to get kind of like a Lambert shade thing, and people are saying, how do I make it color? How do I color it? So to answer this question, I'm going to go ahead and make a small video. So the first thing we want to do is I want to explain to you how this whole system works. Basically, when you have a 3D model here, it uses individual image files and then it places it on something called a UV map, which is how the texture is viewed on an actual model. To my knowledge, every kind of 3D software uses this kind of a system, such as Blender, Milkshape, XNA Lara, Noesis, Maya 3ds Max, anything really is going to be using this texture map system. So in order to get the colors to show up, it has nothing to do with this actual program here. What it actually has to do with is outside here, if we go to rig releases, all right, and then we go to Miku Rig 1.1, which is the folder it would be in. And also I want you guys to notice, this is what you guys would have. Miku Rig 1.1, the extracted here. I go here, and then I hit extract files, and it will extract it here in its own extra folder. And then when I open this up, I go into, I have the scenes, images, source images. I put all this here for you because it mimics the file hierarchy system. So if you were to do like a render, it would be an image. Now, in source images, we have Miku, and then we have final textures. This is the reference image that I use to help with modeling. And then we have here, this is all of the color information that you guys are talking about. All right, so it's actually not having to do anything with Maya as itself or any other program that you're trying to put it into, but it's actually having to do with this texture information here. So what you're asking is, how do I get Maya to connect to that texture information? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to File, Project, Set. All right, once again, that is File, Project. We have New, Edit Current, and Set. We want to set our project. And I like to keep everything on the desktop. So I'm going to find Rig Releases. Okay, that's where the folder is. And then I want to find Miku version 1.1. All right, once I'm there, I hit OK. I have now told Maya to make the connections between the source images folder and the scene folder. And this will solve quite a bit of your problems if you do this. Notice that as I open it up now, it takes me all the way here to Miku 1.1. So I just go to Scenes, Miku, version 1.1. We're not going to save our changes to the default scene. And now notice that as I open this up, we have a colored model. Now what you guys were talking about is the color and everything. Well, let's take, for instance, if I grab this, you see this is the texture information. All right. So if I go to UV here and I grab this, okay, notice that this UV information is right here. All right. And this information is what controls the texture. And if we wanted to play with this, you could drag this around and create different results. Okay. Now, in order to get this to work, the problem that most of you are experiencing is this. When you get the model, it looks like this. You bring it in and it's like, okay, how do I add the color? Well, sometimes what I just showed you with project setting will not be enough. So what you will need to do is, let's take, for instance, FK ponytail mesh. If we go Control A and then Control A, and we go over to pigtail texture, notice that this is the actual texture. And a lot of times this here will have a disconnect. So inside the color, you notice this difference between all these other icons. It's got an arrow and a box. I'm going to click there, and a lot of times it'll give you an error. It'll say can't find it. All right. So then you just have to go and tell it where to go. So this image name, we're just going to go to the browse folder, and let's say it doesn't know where to look. So we go to our desktop, we go to Rig Releases. In your case, you'd probably just have this folder right here, Miku Rig 1.1. We go to Source Images, Miku, Final Textures, and then I would look and I would say, okay, it's a pigtail, so I want pigtail 1. And when I do that, I say open, and then you would get your actual information, okay? And you would do that for each and every single one of these. You do it for the skirt, the tie, you do it for the face. Anytime that we have actual textured information, we want to go in, we want to find the actual texture file that's here, and we're going to browse to the main location where we'd find it in Final Textures here, and we just keep assigning it. And that's basically called assigning the texture map and the texture path to the Maya project. And as long as you save everything, okay, as long as I were to, I'm not going to save this particular file, go to new scene, don't save, but let's say I saved it and everything was fine, and I started up a brand new Maya and I went to open scene. Notice that because we set it, it's already going right to scenes 1.1, Miku version 1.1. And when I open this up, notice that we have the texture information and it stores it. It doesn't lose it when we reopen it back up. All right. Now, if I were to set this to a different file, what would happen is it would not be able to do this again, and it would come in looking like this. So to answer your question, there are two answers. The first is the simple one is project set, and we're going to find where it is in our hierarchy. In my case, it's in rig releases under the desktop, Miku rig 1.1. Okay? If that doesn't work, we have to manually assign this. And remember that if I hit the number 5, that's the main texture. If I hit 4, it's wireframe. And if I hit 6, that's texture view. 7 is lighted view. All right? So we're going to go back to 6 and make sure it's on texture view. And as long as we hit 6 and it's still giving me this, it means that the texture path is not reading, and we have to manually tell the computer, okay, this is where you want to look to get that texture. And then when we hit 6, it should show up. So I think this will really help you guys with your color problem, and I hope that that answers a lot of your questions here. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me at gagex2z@yahoo.com or jasonkScott88@gmail.com. Have fun, guys.